Ludlam.
I might just stick on the Molly plant while we're there. The reactor's only been up for a couple of years, so I'm not certain why ANSTO's asking for another investment of $168 million in 2012. What's that actually for, and why is that necessary so soon after the new reactor and the Molly plant has been stood up?
Thank you very much, Senator. Firstly, just to clarify, the investments that we are making is in two core technologies. The one is the production of MO99 from irradiated target plates. There will be a small incremental investment in the process flows from the reactor, but that's not really where the bulk of this funding is going. The facility that we built when we initially established the capability to produce MO99 using the alkaline process was always envisaged to be an interim step. It was retrofitted into an older facility, and it allowed us to implement a technology that had been developed by our colleagues in Argentina. And therefore, the investment that we made in that initial facility was always expected to be replaced with an upgraded capability that would expand our capacity to both supply Australia and indeed the global community. When I joined ANSTO, that project was called Mega Molly. It was already on the books and had been discussed for a number of years in the board. At the time, as was alluded to in an earlier question which we were asked, there was a good deal of discussion about when we should make the follow-on investments. And the follow-on investments, which were always envisaged, fit very, very well now with the timing of the shutdown of the Canadian research reactor. The Canadian government has announced over the last 12 to 15 months on a number of occasions that in October 2016, their supply, which is currently 40% of the global supply of this critical isotope, will be terminating. So we have really designed, in consultation with government over a very significant period, our project to be able to enter the market ahead of that step change in the availability of the isotope.
We're a bit short of time. I'll
Sorry.
try and keep the questions short.
I'll just say, quickly, the Cabinet made the decision in this investment based on a very strong business case, and was supported by the central financial agencies on the basis that we think a very strong business case for the plant exists.
Was a cost-benefit analysis done?
The business case was independently reviewed by KPMG, and they did a top-down and a bottom-up review. They consulted international experts in the field, and the economics of this investment is absolutely sustainable in a fully market-oriented fashion.
But a formal cost-benefit analysis wasn't done?
Yeah, the cost-benefit analysis is but one element of that. Yeah.
Is the business plan and the peer review, are they both public documents?
Typically, one wouldn't provide such a detailed business plan as a public document because there are commercial implications, Senator.
What, so none of it can be put into the public domain?
No, I think that the high-level capacity of the plant is certainly something that we've been able to talk about.
Perhaps the best response to that, Senator, is we'll take that on notice and see what it's able to provide to the committee without that sort of commercial confidence.
Thanks.
Thanks,
I want to come to the KPMG assessment of the Arpanza report into the yttrium incident that effectively vindicates what one of your whistleblowers, Mr. Dave Reed, has been saying all along. So first, Mr. Patterson, are you aware of the KPMG report that I'm referring to?
Thank you, Senator. I am aware of the KPMG report that you're referring to.
Thanks. Has ANSTO reviewed that report, and do you accept its findings?
Senator, ANSTO has received a redacted copy of that report. We have read that report, and our view is that according to the warranties and disclaimers that have been placed on record by KPMG, it says we have prepared this report for the benefit of Arpanza only. Whilst we have consented to the distribution of this report beyond our Panza, it should not be regarded as suitable for use by any party other than our Panza. If you are in possession of this report, and carries on. So it's clear that the report was intended for our Panza, but in the spirit of advancing nuclear safety and attention to all aspects that we could continuously improve by achieving a deeper understanding of any events that have happened, we have read the report. We have decided on the basis of that statement by KPMG that there would be no benefit in pursuing any matters in relation to the report, but I think a careful reading of the report suggests that if there was any incident that morning, that it was of low radiological significance, and therefore we are confident that there's nothing...
fabricated a false timeline, cover up
Excuse me, order.
Deliberately misled
Order.
the nuclear regulator.
Order.
Mr. Patterson, I'll tell you what my careful reading of that report indicates. My careful reading of that report, well, I take on board your caveat that the disclaimer does indeed identify our Panza as the primary recipient of the report. I'm glad you've at least reviewed it. The KPMG report finds that ANSTO technical and supervisory staff and the executive management covered up the fact that 3 staff were contaminated by the beta emitter, yttrium, on the relevant day, that Mr. Reid witnessed an incident between 2 men at the contamination barrier of the day in question. He reported 1 man had yttrium contamination, which is a beta radiation emitter, all down his clothes and in his mouth, and that the other man, supervisor, was trying to clean him up and telling him not to report the contamination. So has ANSTO made misleading statements about this incident, which I should also observe led to the suspension of the whistleblower in question?
Senator, you seem to have made a comment rather than a question, and I'm finding it difficult to deconvolute these series of statements that you've made.
Right, my question then is whether or not ANSTO at any time has made misleading statements, either yourself or your staff, about this incident.
Senator, I don't believe that ANSTO has at any time made misleading statements in respect of the series of incidents that took place on that day in 2007. I don't believe that we have ever tried to suggest in any way that there were incidents on that day. They were submitted in our normal quarterly report. This particular investigation was for the purposes of our Panza. I believe that the radiological significance of the purported event, if indeed it happened, was low. I think that this has been now investigated 11 times by different groups.
Are you still contesting that these events even occurred at all?
Senator,
if they occurred at all, was that your words?
Senator, we were not involved in this investigation in a way that would have allowed us to put all of the issues on the table. For example, you referred to executive management. No member of executive was interviewed by the person who conducted this investigation. So it just goes to show that this was a report that was indeed intended for our Panza. It was not intended to make any findings in relation to ANSTO. I don't believe it has done.
It's your facility. It's your plant. It's an accident involving your staff at your facility that this report is about. I'm not sure quite why we're creating this distance. It was created for the regulator because they were extremely unhappy. I'll contest these contentions later on with our Panza, later on this morning, with ANSTO's response to these incidents, which did indeed occur. These are not alleged incidents. These are a matter of public record.
Senator, I believe that we have been very clear on this matter. If indeed this incident did take place.
So you contest the existence?
I contest whether there was an incident of this nature at the time that has been outlined in the report. And I have never had the opportunity to meet with the investigator or to engage, because I understood this to be an Panza investigation of whether they had properly conducted themselves in analysing these events at the time. So we don't believe that any purpose would be served in terms of good use of public resources to continue this matter, because there is no radiological evidence, and people used to, as they do all the time now, wear film badges. People who were involved in this incident were subjected to whole body monitoring as a result of the reported incidents on the day. There's just no evidence in the broader evidential record, which was not considered by this investigator, to suggest that anybody was internally contaminated on that day. And I know that certain people have got different timelines with which they believe certain incidents happened. We just cannot find a record of that happening. At the time, the staff members who were involved did not all have the same sense and memory of what has happened. It's happened a long time ago. And in any event, we, at the time, with the other two incidents that took place on that day that we know actually happened because we've got reports about them, we've taken the necessary actions to introduce the type of controls that would be consistent with the controls that you'd introduce into any facility.
Thank you, Dr. Patterson. Time has now expired for this discussion. We will take